Hi, I'm John Hauer. I'm the CEO of Get3DSmart. In this video segment, we're talking to the dads who work for Henkel. We're going to talk a little bit more about their roles and goals, how they're balancing work and family, and how they see 3D printing impacting their kids and others in the next generation. Let's start with some introductions. Alex, can you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. I'm Alex. I'm based in Hong Kong, and I'm the 3D printing business development manager for Asia Pacific region. And I've been working for Henkel for 16 years.
Nice. Yep. Eric, how about you?
So my name is Eric Yackley. I'm a business development manager as well in the 3D printing group for North America. I'm based out of the New York City area, and I've been with Henkel for about 3 years now.
Nice. Tom, how about you?
Good morning. My name is Tom Lopez. I'm business development manager for 3D printing. I work with getting our distribution sales force up and running to sell the 3D products for Henkel. I've been with Henkel for 20 years, and I'm based on the West Coast. I'm in Phoenix, Arizona area, Apache Junction.
Nice. Andy, how about you?
Sure. Andy Scott here. I'm the head of application engineering for 3D printing or additive manufacturing, depending on how you want to look at it. And I'm actually based out of our North American headquarters in Rocky Hill, Connecticut.
Florian, how about you?
Yeah, my name is Florian Garnich. I'm based in Munich in Germany. I've been with Henkel now for 28 years. My background is physics and engineering, so I'm in charge of the global equipment for 3D printing.
Wow. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about your families. Andy, can you start? Tell us how many kids you have, how old they are. Give us a little bit more background.
Sure. Yeah. So I actually am married with 2 kids. I have a daughter that just turned 2 a couple days ago, and then my son also just turned 2 months.
Wow, you got some young ones.
Oh yeah, so I dove right into this.
Tom, how about you?
I'm happily married for 20 years now, and I have 2 stepsons that I met when they were 7 and 9, and now they're 30 and 32. So they're grown up and moved away, but we still stay in regular contact. I'm a grandfather now, and using Zoom meetings or FaceTime meetings is just, it's critical to stay in touch right now.
Yeah, especially in the pandemic that we're dealing with now. It's changed some things for everybody. Florian, how about you? What's your family?
I've got 4 daughters. So the eldest one is 30 years, 28 years, 18, and 7 years.
You just kept on trying, didn't you? You were
right.
I have 2 daughters, so I can commiserate a little bit. Alex, how about you?
Yeah, I have 2 kids. One is 3 and one is nearly 6 years old. Both are boys.
All right. And Eric, how about you?
So for me, I have 2 boys as well. My older guy is about 2.5, and my younger guy is about to turn 1.
Nice. All right. So Alex, I'm going to start with you on this one. If they're in school, if your kids are in school, what grade are they going to be in next? Are they good students? Are they involved in sports or any other extracurricular activities? Give us a little bit of background about their school life.
Yeah. Actually, only my elder son is studying in kindergarten, and this year is his last year in kindergarten. According to his teacher's comment, she said that okay, he is a quiet, very behaved student. But actually, I just think that am I talking with a wrong teacher, because he performed completely different at home. Yeah.
Well, you know, a lot of people are homeschooling their kids right now, and they're finding out that it's a little different experience than what they get when they have their parent-teacher meetings, right?
Yeah. It's a big headache for many parents now because they need to take care of the kids all the time at home. Actually, they are not really involved in specific sport because they are still very young. So sometimes just bring them all, hang around, go to the playground, and just release their excessive energy as possible.
Andy, did you say your kids are in school? I'm sorry, I missed that if you did.
Nope, not yet. My oldest is 2 years old.
Yeah, you got a ways to go here still,
Yeah.
right? All right, so Eric, let me ask you this question. Do you think they're going to be going back to school in the fall? And if not, how's your family managing the change?
So from my side, I'm in the New York City area, which, as probably most people know, is hit extra hard. So for the fall, I would say I'm cautiously optimistic, but if you follow what New York State's doing, they're trying to slowly reopen, and I feel like some of it's yet to be seen. My wife and I have definitely gone through some rearrangement of our house. I've been working from home, so I have a home office tucked away in the back corner, but my wife works normally in Manhattan and has an office. So with her coming home, for a while she was at the kitchen table, and we've had to build out, like a second home office in a bedroom, so everybody has a room with a door.
Yeah.
So I have a new appreciation for doors.
Yeah, it's a loft would be a difficult situation at this point, right? where it's all open space. Yeah, Florian, how about you? Do you think they're going back to school in the fall? Do you see what kind of changes are you dealing with?
Already earlier. So here in southern Germany, school will reopen mid of June, and then they will have 1 week shifts. So 1 week in school, the other week working from home. So they split the school classes in half so that there's only half the pupils in the school at the same time.
That's smart.
But so far it has been working quite okay for my little daughter, Anna Maria. And it's interesting to have her working next to me. So she enjoys sharing the same desk with me. She does her homework and I do mine.
Right. Sometimes you work on hers, right?
Yeah, right.
It's an unusual change, that's for sure. Let's switch topics and talk a little bit about 3D printing. Let's start with you, Alex. Do any of your kids have an interest in 3D printing or other emerging technologies? And then how do you think additive manufacturing might impact them as they get older?
Well, actually for my eldest son, previously I brought him to attend some primary school open days. And nowadays many schools emphasize on science, engineering, training, something like that. So in the open day, they show some of their 3D printer during the open day. And my kids are very interested because usually, I think typically most of the boys love robot, machine, something like that. So he is really interested on this. I do think that additive manufacturing or 3D printing in certain days, as the technology keep improving, maybe when they grows up, around maybe 10 or 20 years later, most of our product probably will be made by 3D printing, probably, because it creates a lot of advantage by using this kind of technology, like design flexibility or lower cost when making it in a small quantity. So maybe in some day or at their age, 3D printing may be a very common technology, just like we are using smartphone nowadays.
Yeah. How about you, Eric? What's been your experience? Are your kids interested in 3D printing?
My kids are both still small, only 1 and 2.5. But I do have a desktop FDM machine at home that I do some small projects with, and I can tell you for sure my 2.5-year-old is just fascinated to watch it work. I see the trend definitely. A lot of companies are focusing on the education piece. So I think, relative to how I went through grade school, my kids will just have a lot more exposure to it than I did. And I'm certainly going to try and reinforce that at home, being in the business that we're in.
Yeah, absolutely. In my previous business, we were doing 3D printing in retail. And we displayed 3D printers in a lot of different retail stores. And literally everywhere they were displayed, kids were pressed up against the glass watching it happen. It was something that they just were fascinated with. And I still think that that's a big part of our future. And it's not so much about making products on demand. While that's important, I think it's also about the experience that it creates for people, especially in a retail or a public environment like that, libraries, wherever wherever you see 3D printers. It's just fascinating to watch, and it's not something that you know is a one and done. People are interested in it again and again. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start with Alex on this one. What's the big problem we should be solving now to help our kids have a better future? Where do we go with this? I mean, not just 3D printing, but technology in general.
To ensure a better future for our next generation, I think protect the environment is a very important thing, because we now human beings create a lot of pollution, and we consume many raw materials, something like that. So in order to ensure they have a better life in future, I think we need to protect our environment, and which is actually related with additional additive manufacturing, because 3D printing actually help manufacturer to save material and also reduce wastage. So as a BDM of 3D printing, one of our key roles is to help the industry to drive the adoption of additive manufacturing, so that it also can help to protect the environment.
Yeah, for sure. Andy, what's your take on it? What's the big problem that we ought to be trying to solve for the next generation?
You know, I'm honestly thinking that Alex might be in my head because he just took my thoughts right there. So I completely agree on the environmental aspect of it, as environmental issues are something that's not going away. So I actually think that 3D printing is a beneficial technology for OEMs that are on the cutting edge of creating green technologies for both rapid prototyping and ramping up to full manufacturing. That way we actually have manufacturing and society left for our kids when they're older.
Yeah, if nothing else, this whole experience with the pandemic has taught us a lot about what can happen with the environment and how quickly it can happen. You know, you see oceans turning blue again. You see, I mean, there's a lot of things happening that happen quickly, and you know, additive manufacturing is certainly playing a role in helping us be sustainable. So, Tom, let's talk a little bit more about 3D printing. Where do you think it's going to be a game changer? What's the big application of the thing that's going to drive it to the next level to, you know, to fulfill this promise of Industry 4.0?
Well, I think we've got the understanding now of the fact that 3D printing actually can produce functional parts. That's one of the crazy things about before. It was kind of viewed, when you mention the term 3D printing, you talk about hobby style printing. But now with the problem with the pandemic that's going on, and people are actually creating functional parts with 3D printing, I feel it's changing people's minds about the ability to actually create things with it. And back to the earlier question about kids and adoption of 3D printing, they're pretty excited now when they see a 12-year-old with a printer like Eric has in his office, the FDM printer, producing things that can be used in a hospital, and they want to be a part of that as well. So I think the mindset's changing. I think we really need to get people actively involved at early ages and introduced to 3D printing and additive manufacturing, the concepts. But where it's going to be a game changer is just what we spoke about. The reduction of waste, tremendous amount of waste when you have subtractive manufacturing with machining and milling. And people are going to start to see now that manufacturers are producing materials that can be used for end-use parts. It's going to affect every aspect of of our lives, but it has to be adopted, and people have to accept that it can do what we think it can do.
Yeah, for sure. Florian, what's your take? What do you think's that game-changing application, or what market? Where do you think 3D printing really starts to become ubiquitous?
Well, as Eric has started, I think sustainability will be a major issue of the coming generation. So, for instance, optimizing logistic change and reducing carbon dioxide footprint by optimizing logistic change rather than bringing modules all over the world. So to produce some of them more locally, that could help. Then something completely different. I'm both a biker and a motorcycle driver. So to have better helmet protection by optimized lattice structures. So I think there are quite new opportunities there. And to give you another example, customizing eyeglasses. So you asked me about the children. So I bring sometimes home a printed sample here to my kids and to show them what is that doing. And so you could make more resilient eyeglasses which do not break, or you can customize them at any shape desired.
Yeah,
So those are huge new opportunities.
for sure. And it's interesting to see some of the clear materials that Henkel's been working with and how that could impact not only eyeglasses, but, you know, lighting and everything else that goes on. It's been a very interesting journey for sure. So Tom, let me switch gears and ask you, how has being a dad changed your approach to business?
You know, when I chose this vocation, I liked this vocation because it allowed me to work from home and be close to, you know, things I like. I don't think I can function working in an office. I'm not used to working in a cube type environment. And of course, I started this career before I met my sons. But what it allowed me to do was spend a lot more time with them growing up, attend the swim meets and the plays that they were in, and being involved in those types of things. And it made me realize that the importance of spending as much time as you can with the kids growing up. Business is business, and of course it's different throughout your stages of the career. But if you can spend a lot more time with your kids and have better balance in life, you know, a lot of companies will talk about balance in life, and it's important to have all these aspects together. And then they want you to come back and work, you know, 80 hours a week, which isn't real. But if you can find that balance, and this pandemic kind of forces us to spend more time together. And whether that's good or bad, I think it's an added benefit that we're spending, instead of our children being at a daycare and spending time with other people, they're actually with us. And they may drive us crazy, but you know, it's going to build that family bond better. So I think the work-life balance was, you know, something that I learned about being a parent.
Yeah, for sure. Florian, how about you? What's your approach? How's being a dad changed your approach to business?
Well, so that you feel more responsible for what's left to the next generation. So that is one important aspect. Then also to care more about myself, so that I don't get hurt in an accident or do too dangerous things. And as Tom just said, the right work-life balance. And I want to add also being a role model to the kids, and to show them that work can be fun, but that work is not everything in life.
Yeah, for sure. Eric, how about you?
So I think it's changed a few things for me. One, I think it's definitely placed a greater emphasis on the company culture of places I work. To be honest, I've been at Henkel while I've had my kids, and I'm feeling very fortunate to be in this specific team you see represented here. You know, there's plenty of other guys in my same position. So, you know, when other people on your team also have kids and the same challenges, you know, that creates a nice environment when you have to show up for work every day. And I think the company is very supportive of that. I think that's going to be important in general for companies to consider going forward as we wrestle with all those work-life balance issues that the other guys alluded to. So definitely a big appreciation there. And then probably the other aspect for me is just the time management portion. So when you have especially young kids like I do, your time becomes that more valuable. And I also feel that I think in some ways translated to the business, being a business development manager, we're often the gateways into our own company, you know, in terms of evaluating projects and things where our company is spending those time resources. So I think it's changed my perception and how I weigh the value of time.
Yeah, as an ambassador to the company, you have to be Dr. No to some degree, right? I mean, you can only accept so many projects and only work on so many things.
For sure, yes. So I would say that's definitely changed for me after becoming a father.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's go to Alex on this one. Do you have any advice for soon-to-be or new fathers? What did you do well? What would you do differently? I'm really interested in this take versus what we heard from the moms in the last video.
As a new father, take care of your wife first. Yeah, because your wife always suffer from the highest pressure after having a baby, actually. So, but at the same time, how to make a balance between family and your work is quite challenging for many fathers because for a young newborn baby, actually you need to spend quite a lot of effort and time. But at the same time, you also need to hit your target in your business. So how to manage your time, how to allocate your effort is very important.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Tom or Andy, how would you answer that question? Do you have any advice for soon-to-be fathers? What you did well, what you would do differently? You're
Yeah.
pretty
So,
good.
yeah. So I would say the first thing is be more aware of what your wife needs before she has to ask. Happy wife, happy life, especially when she has a newborn glued to her. But overall, one of the things that I would say is, so like the drive and the aspirations that you have for your career, shut off the work aspect of it at night and use that same drive and aspiration to really kind of spend time with your kids and actually do things to better their life and bring some enjoyment to their young lives, as everything is going to go by quick.
It's amazing how fast it goes by. I've got 2 in college at this point, and I feel like they were little babies yesterday. It's shocking. All right, I'm going to open this last question up to everybody, and I'll start with Eric. What are your greatest ambitions, either personally or professionally? What are the 1 or 2 top things you want to accomplish, either in the near or long term?
For me, because on the professional side, we're really just starting at Henkel within these last few years, getting our materials business off the ground. We'd really like to expand the team that you see here, and we've been almost in a startup mode in the beginning, being really flexible, trying lots of different things, and now I think we found some traction on areas where we really bring value, and I would love as an aspirational goal to have this interview again in another year or 2 and have twice as many people on the Henkel team on the call as we do today.
Yeah, the Open Materials Network's been a smashing success so far from what we've seen and what's been announced publicly.
Yeah, right. So it's definitely very exciting for us. With every additional partner that joins the network, I think you also see the concept reinforced that this really can work and everybody benefits, working together rather than trying to create from scratch independent ecosystems.
Mm-hmm. Alex, how about you? What are your greatest ambitions? What do you want to accomplish professionally, personally? What's on your plate for this year?
For us as a BDM of 3D printing, of course, enhance the adoption rate of additive manufacturing is our key target, no matter it's a long-term or short-term target for us. And personally, of course, for my personal life, my key target is to ensure that my kids have a healthy and happy life, which is a very simple target, but very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, how about you? What's on your plate?
Well, on the professional side, as with probably everybody on this team, we know that additive manufacturing is at the tipping point. And I joined this team with the hope of really doing all I could to get it to become something that is more adopted in the marketplace. It's so exciting, and we're all in this together. And so my short-term goal is to do everything I can to get not only the Henkel 3D printing ship off the ground, but the industry as well. On a personal note, this house behind me, I'd really like to get the remodel done. It's not a good time to be doing a remodel right now, but nonetheless, it's exciting and it's fun. Long term, I want to ride off into the sunset and travel the world and visit people, visit Germany, visit, you know, Asia, visit all these places. There's still a lot of living left to do, and of course, I stole that from a country song. But nonetheless, life is short. We've got to do all we can before we take what we call the dirt nap out here in Arizona.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Florian, how about you? What's on your agenda?
Yeah, my ambition is help driving the industrial adoption of 3D printing. So all my professional career has been related to light together with materials. So 35 years ago, it was about solar energy conversion, which is now standard in many parts of the world. 30 years ago, it was about laser welding, the first robots on laser welding. And now almost any car in the world has some laser welded parts included. And in the same way, I would expect that 3D printing gets an industrial standard. And I want to drive it both from the scientific side. I want to better understand how the polymerization works, how the cross-linking of molecule happens, which is in the end very important for medical approvals. And I also want to improve the efficiency of 3D printing to help the industrial adoption.
Nice.
On the private end, I have quite a different project. So last year, my family and I, we started in our vacations voluntary work at a farm in the Alps at almost 5,000 feet altitude. And we want to help to preserve this 100-year-old dairy farming in the Alps, and which is actually fun and hard work.
It must be beautiful. I mean, I can only imagine. It's a gorgeous area. Andy, how about you? What's on your plate for this year? What are you trying to accomplish?
Sure. So one of the reasons that I got into engineering is since I was a child, I've always been a gearhead. Love to take things apart. Love to figure out how things work, and not always be able to put them back together. But that's a different story. But at the same time, 3D printing, I love looking at how to disrupt and change like traditional manufacturing, and how to improve it and actually drive and see those things that were you have something that's thought of, oh, this it's not possible with any other means, and coming in and be like, all right, well, here's all the proof, here's your finished part, and actually having something that is an end use rather than just simply prototyping. So that's something that's exciting for me to continue driving throughout this year, as well as into the future. On the personal side of things, so some of my goals is someday to get to the bottom of the honey-do list of all the projects that my wife has. But we'll see. That may be again a different topic all in itself. But actually, so as my kids are growing and they're young, is actually getting to start teaching them some of the things that like I did as a growing up, and kind of getting them hands-on with doing different projects to really see and start giving them experiences, so that they can start having a plan for themselves as they're growing older, finding out what their interests are, and kind of both helping support them and tailoring my own interests to make sure that I'm interactive and actually staying in tune with my kids as they grow.
Yeah, seems like you got a lot on your plate. All right, with that, we're going to go ahead and end it. I want to thank all of you, first of all, for being tremendous dads, and second of all, for the hard work that you're doing in an industry that really needs to continue to push forward and grow. It's exciting to have large companies like Henkel move into this business and help convert it from what was a cottage industry to what's becoming a very mainstream business. And it's very exciting. So thank you again. We appreciate it. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it.